Hello, welcome again. Our first module was designed to get your mind in gear, to stretch your sense of possibility, to get you authentically and genuinely excited, because it's very exciting where we're going to take you over the next modules. So today we're going to start getting a little deeper, but I believe the first priorities are always to get you very solidly grounded. So today we're going to talk about drivers of performance, because no matter what kind of a business you decide to go into or pursue or acquire or partner with, you're going to have to know how to maximize performance. Now, why are you going to have to know that? Because your advantage in business, it results from your ability to gain higher and better outcome, performance, results from time, from effort, from access, meaning ads or calling on somebody one-on-one or being at a trade show. And you can't get higher results or performance if you don't first understand some of the principles that drive everything. Now, I believe in the last module, and I may not have done this, but I think so, I explained to you that 2% of what happens to people in business are what we would call acts of God. It just means things you can't control. 2%. 98% are the result of actions you take or don't take, of decisions you make or don't make, and of factors and forces and principles and elements that either you understand and control or that you allow to control you. My goal by the end of the last module is to see everybody that is taking this, starting some kind of an enterprise, full-time, part-time, having the highest level of success possible, and being able to multiply that long-term towards something rather wonderful and rewarding for them. Cannot happen if you don't understand. It's like building a building. If you don't understand the laws of construction, architecture, support beams, you can't build anything that will be strong, tall, enduring. Same thing with any business. So let's look at drivers. And by drivers, I refer to power principles that drive up performance, that are critical to maximizing performance. There are a lot of drivers. I'm going to start with one category and then we're going to move to another. So the first set of drivers are what I call the macro drivers. These are the key elements that give you, in whatever business you want to pursue, the maximum advantage for the minimum effort. These are the ones that even if you don't absolutely understand them masterfully, but you utilize them, they will increase your results. The first one is strategy. Most people in business in your part of the world are very tactical. They just do things for the moment. They don't have a master game plan that is driving or fueling or directing everything they do. If you start with the end in mind, and the end doesn't mean when you die, it means when you get your business built to the success level you want. And remember, you can have a part-time business to start with. You can have a small business you're going to grow. You can have a business you're going to use as an acquisition vehicle and end up acquiring or opening 25 more, but you start somewhere. But you know where you're headed, And everything you do, every action you take, every decision you make, every activity you put energy, time, or money in is designed to strategically advance and enhance this outcome. Now, why is that important? Well, first of all, because nobody you compete against is strategic. So you will be far and away, way above everyone else in how you think. Secondly, most people just do a bunch of random things occasionally, and they don't really come together towards this bigger outcome. If you have a business model, meaning the whole concept of how your business operates, that is being driven, fueled, and propelled by a great strategy, and that everything you do, your marketing, your promotion, your website, your salespeople are congruent and consistent with this master strategy, everything you do is going to produce a much greater initial and a mammoth greater ongoing effect. Let me try to explain. First of all, most people don't have good business models. What does that mean? It means that they're just trying to sell something. A good business model is a very well thought out strategy. For example, if your strategic business model was that we want to do the easiest offering to our market that will get them to start a relationship with us, because we know that the sooner we start a relationship, the sooner we will get our first sale, and the sooner we get our first sale, the sooner we will get our second sale and our third sale, so that we want to make it easier to start a relationship with us than not. And your strategy was to go into various types of markets and marketing, whether it's knocking on doors, whether it's running ads, whether it's search engine, whether it's trade shows, and make offers that are irresistibly easy to accept so that you can build a relationship and move people to the sell and the resell. You have a great advantage over people that are just trying to sell. If your business model is to get people started easily and non-threateningly, move them to the first sale, add, if you have multiple products, more products to that first sale, add, if you have a product that is highly reconsumptive, meaning they buy it, they use it, they buy it again, ongoing structure that helps the buyer, the client, keep buying over and over again, add more products or services so that they buy longer periods and they buy more things and you make more profit. All of a sudden you are thinking at a heightened level of strategic discipline than your competitor. And I've done a lot of work on strategy, and we are going to include in the workbook some clarified and deeper discussion. But I wanted to start because there are all these drivers, we call them leverage points or impact points, that if you understand them, they power up, they catapult up not just the performance, and that's very important, not just the result, that's very important, not just the profit, that's very important, but your probability of being successful. I've created in my life a multitude of different sets of principles, sets of marketing laws, sets of high performance distinctions. But one of the ones I created 20 years ago was very simple, very self-evident. but very infrequently practiced. It was the following: make success a higher probability in everything you do than failure. Now, that seems so obvious, but people make failure a higher probability in everything they do than success because they don't know how to think strategically and they don't know how to think critically. By the time we are done, you will know how to do both in a masterful way. I'm not going to get into all the strategy here, but we will give you in the workbook great lessons on strategy, examples, and powerful ways for you to adapt or adopt different strategies to whatever it is you do. But the point is, if you are not strategic, the moment you become strategic, everything you do starts rising in its success, its performance, its results, its profit. If you are strategic, every time you make your strategy better, it's not like that, it's like that. So the first driver that I tell everyone they have to make sure they are clear on is knowing first what their strategy is. Second, making sure they are always being strategic. And that means they never do anything that doesn't advance, enhance, and multiply this big long-term goal or game they are playing called business. So if you're not strategic, first thing is you have to become strategic. If you are strategic, the next thing you have to constantly do is improve your strategy and keep making it perform higher and harder for you. There is a belief that I have that I want very much for you to possess. Either you work very hard for your business, which is what most people do, or you create purposely, you engineer intentionally, you mastermind thoroughly a business model strategy that works harder and harder for you. It's totally possible. But you can't just wish it. You have to understand these forces, these factors, these decisions, these actions that you need to take or control. So change your strategy or become strategic, and you will positively change your results. In the workbook, there will be an example. Next is change your marketing, and you will change your results. This gets into a really vast area of possibility. Let me explain. Most companies, whether you're a little service company doing it part-time, whether you're a large company and you grow or buy it, they are terrible marketers. And they are terrible marketers for a number of reasons. Reason one is they don't understand the purpose of marketing. Reason two, if they understand the purpose of marketing, they don't understand how to engineer and how to communicate their marketing message in a powerful way that causes the prospective buyer to be positively impacted and want badly to start a relationship. Number three, if they understand that, they don't understand how to move that buyer to take action. Number four, if they understand how to get them to take action, they don't understand how to keep them taking action. Number five, most people don't understand the laws of marketing. So let me give you a little bit about marketing. Again, we're talking about high performance drivers. Strategy first, marketing second. So let's get into this a little bit. And in the workbook, you're going to see the 3-way to grow a business model. You're going to see the Power Parthenon model. you're going to see some of the very different ways that you can apply each of the 3 ways to grow a business, and you're going to see the advanced 3 ways to grow a business, but I am going to right now share with you a little bit about that. So most people come to me and say, oh, Jay, there must be 1 trillion ways to grow a business. And my response is always, actually, there are 1 trillion tactics that are available and can be compartmentalized into 3 basic activities. There's only 3 ways to grow any business. 1 is you figure out how to find and convert more prospects to buyers. Number 2, you figure out when you convert prospects to buyers, how to get them to buy larger units of purchase each time they buy. Number 3, you figure out how to get buyers to keep coming back more often to buy more. And if you don't have a lot of other things to sell, you figure out other complementary products or services that you can either acquire, get rights to, do private label, or joint ventures so you have ongoing revenue. The goal of a business is not to keep finding new buyers all the time that never buy again. It's to keep finding buyers who come in, start buying, buy again and again and again. And so you have a base and keep doing it, so you keep building that base higher and higher so that you create predictable future revenue that you have certainty will keep coming in for 2 reasons. 1, that's your security. That's your financial solidarity. But number 2, a business that has predictable ongoing revenue has value to others. So not only are you creating for yourself a significant income that is predictable and recurring and sustainable, you're creating a massive wealth asset that you could sell to anybody else in the future because it has predictable future revenue. Now, I don't want to get too deep because in the workbook, we show you the 3-way to grow business model, and we show you how unbelievably powerful the leverage is in working them all. Let me talk about the power Parthenon because it is equally as important, and it is very rarely understood or practiced by anyone. So the power Parthenon is a very simple but a very powerful way of not just doing business, but owning the category of business you do. And what does it mean? Most businesses that I have looked at worldwide remind me of a diving board. And I'm going to do a visual, but you'll go to your workbook. So a diving board is here's a pedestal, here's the board. The board is the revenue. It's the turnover, whatever you call it there, that people generate. The pillar that supports the board is the one singular way of selling or marketing that most companies do, and it's different. Some have sales forces. Some go to trade shows. Some run ads in magazines. Some do pay-per-click or SEO. Some do, I don't know if they do direct mail anymore in your country, but some do direct mail or catalogs. Some have distributors. But most companies have one primary approach or source of doing business, and that's it. If anything happens to that source, the competitor pays more to get access to marketing, or a competitor hires away your top salesperson, or your top salesperson quits and either does something else or quits and competes against you, if that's the only way you're doing business, you're compromised. So what I try to get everybody I ever help to do, and I'm going to be heartfelt to get you to do this with any business you start, create, buy, partner with, is to create multiple pillars that reach your target market from many different ways. In your workbook, there is a very strong example, and it's just for reference. There's lots of ways you can do it, but if, for example, you started your business just by either having yourself or someone else be the salesperson, and that was the only way you generated business, you would want to try to add many more approaches, and let's call them pillars. One approach could be online marketing. One approach could be getting articles published in online and offline media. One approach could be finding organizations or other companies that sell to the same market who would partner for you. One approach could be starting to go to conferences and trade shows. One approach would be building a systematic referral generating system. One approach would be getting a book written not to make money from, but just to make you an icon in your industry. And I can go on, but the points I'm making are, if you want to build a business, you, honestly, more than some of the people already in business, have a great advantage because you're starting. It's like a canvas and you're an artist. You can paint any kind of picture you want. Or it's a glob of clay and you're a sculptor. You can sculpt anything you want. And if you start with the knowledge that the competition doesn't have, if you start with the commitment to only do things that have a much, much higher success probability, you already are way ahead. Now, we're still talking, I'm trying to show you how easy this will be once you put it all together. And I also want to tell you that I need time to build this right. And if we do it together right, by the time we're done, you will be so deeply and masterfully trained. You will have the knowledge of what and where and how the best opportunity for this moment is and where you can take it. You will be able to control your destiny. A lot of people say, I'm going to teach you in 90 minutes how to make $1 million. That is not a true reality. I'm going to teach you through the modules we will go through together and the workbook we have created to support you, how you will absolutely and positively have the certainty of creating something wonderful for yourself. But I have to be very clear. I cannot do it for you. I'm here to help do it with you. I'm here to help encourage you. I'm here to help mentor you through these sessions. I'm here to give you understanding and then give you very deep graphic illustrations so you can see the power of the words as they have performed for companies and get excited. I'm here to open up levels of understanding and business mastery that no one else has ever shared with you. But it is ultimately up to you. So let's keep talking about marketing. But remember, I'm going to give you 8 or 9 powerful drivers, and then I'm going to move you to a whole different set of drivers. But all of these, if you don't understand them before you start, you will underperform the potential of your business and of your life and of your income and of your ability to control that life. So in marketing, first thing is understanding the 3 ways to grow a business. Next thing is building yourself multiple pillars of access or approach. The next thing is understanding what marketing really is. Marketing it's not some mystical art. It's scientifically very easy to understand. The purpose of marketing, in whatever form it takes, online, offline, advertising, website, is to, first of all, educate and illuminate, meaning instruct, but also make aware a preferred target market that has the highest probability of being a buyer, to understand three things. One, that they have a problem or they are pursuing an opportunity, and you have to get them clear on what it is. And we'll have a session on creating copy, but I'm not going to do it today. I'm just introducing you to the basics. Number two, you have to have them see the advantage of either solving the problem or accomplishing the opportunity. Number three, you have to have them see that you understand them and their problem or their opportunity better than anyone else, because you learn to express it better than anyone else. And we'll teach you how to do that when we do our session on preeminence. And then you have to get them motivated to want to seek that solution or that achievement. Solution is solving the problem, or achievement is gaining the opportunity immediately and only from you. That's what marketing's all about. It's not about being graphically impressive. It's not about complex words. It's about gaining the trust of your market. It's about showing your market that the benefit, the advantage, the monumental improved outcome that they can expect from doing business with you or letting you take over for them the solution of their problem or the achievement of their goal. It's being able to speak to them in language that no one else has and show them that you understand their objective better than they do by using language patterns that they don't even use themselves. And I'm going to teach you how to do this. Today is not the day. Today is the day you discover the power that has always existed. For example, if you never knew you could plug into electricity to drive all kinds of things, or you never knew you could plug into gasoline to drive engines, or you never knew you could get solar, and all of a sudden I'm teaching you, you have solar, you have electricity, you have fuel-based, you got all these options. All of a sudden, you are in control of your world, and I got to continue. So a little bit more on marketing. So marketing is also being seen by your target audience as the only meaningful, viable, and most trusted source they could turn to. It's about giving them advice, not just information. And we're going to get deep in this in copywriting. We're going to do copywriting and preeminence together as a module. But it's about having them see you as a source that they can absolutely trust. Now, why is that important? Always remember what I'm about to say, because this is equally as true of you as it is of your market, and it's true of every human being. That's why you chose this program and why you're trusting me. Human beings are constantly, silently begging to be led. They want someone to lead them to answers, to lead them to solutions, to lead them to ways to realize opportunities, but they only trust people who they feel have their best interests at heart. This is at the very bedrock, the very foundation of the psychology of the human being, and it's true in Japan, it's true in Singapore, it's true in Los Angeles, New York, London. It's a human distinction. So back to marketing. One of the ways you do that, and we're not going to get deep today, but it is understanding what's called risk reversal. In any interaction between any two individuals or entities, there is always risk. And there usually are two kinds of risk. There is tangible risk. You spend money and you don't get the outcome you want. And there is intangible risk. You make a decision and spend money and you look stupid. Or if it's a big company, you buy software or a cloud-based solution and it doesn't work and they mess up your whole business and your business gets blown up. Or if it's hiring the wrong person. And we're not going to get deep today, but it is understanding what's called risk reversal. In any interaction between any two individuals or entities, there is always risk. And there usually are two kinds of risk. There is tangible risk. You spend money and you don't get the outcome you want. And there is intangible risk. You make a decision and spend money and you look stupid. Or if it's a big company, you buy software or a cloud-based solution and it doesn't work and they mess up your whole business and your business gets blown up. Or if it's hiring the wrong person, you get blamed and you get fired. And so there's always risk in anything we do, including friendship, romance. If you can understand what the most tangible and intangible levels of risk are, that very probably both consciously and subconsciously occur to your prospective market. And this also applies to growing your career, which will be another bonus section we'll talk about if you decide you don't want to be an entrepreneur. But I would say entrepreneurship is more fun. If you can understand the risks and you can relieve, eliminate, reduce, or totally overcome them for somebody and make it easier to say yes than no, you will enjoy even more of this success-favored outcome that I talked about. You want to make success a more likely outcome than failure. Okay, so marketing has all these cool components. And I will get deeply into a module on marketing. But remember, this segment is merely showing you where you have what I call enormous upside advantage, upside leverage. By the way, I think I said this in the first module, but maybe I didn't. And if I did, it's worth hearing again. Your job in business is to put the maximum ethical advantage in your hands and move the maximum ethical disadvantage to your competitors or to the alternative competitors. What does that mean? Well, example, if you were selling a supplement for weight loss, your direct competitors are other supplements for weight loss. The alternative competitors are people that sell other means of losing weight. Personal trainers, videos, books, gyms, exercise bikes, other equipment. So you have to be able to understand advantage, disadvantage, opportunity, problem solving, both. And this gets into marketing. But I don't want to get deep into marketing, believe it or not. This is just the outer periphery. There's so much to share with you, and we will share it two ways. We'll share it in a module, but we'll share it in a wonderful written book as well. Now, all I'm doing right now is showing you these power principles, these drivers that give you great advantage. The first one is strategy. Second one is marketing. I may not be in the right order, The third one is relationships. We're going to talk about how poorly or how masterfully you use relationships. And this is a huge, vast area of opportunity and a very big overlooked area. So let me give you just a few of the areas. And again, I could talk for hours and hours and hours and go very deep on any of these. But what do I mean by relationships? Well, if you don't have a business, the first thing you want to do is figure out who you can access. And access can mean pick their minds as a mentor. It means get them involved as an advisor, an investor. It means partner with them because they have a list. It means get their introduction of you to other people because they have access to your market. There are tons of people, organizations, media, experts, influencers that have what you already want, but you can't maximize your ability to harness the power of relationships until you first understand three things. One, what is it you're trying to accomplish? Because without the right questions, you'll never get the right answers. What are you trying to accomplish and why? For example, and there's lots of answers to this question, lots of questions. Let's say that you have many things you're trying to accomplish, so you build a list. First thing is you want to find everybody out there who has a product or service or media that reaches the same kind of a prospect or decision maker that you're going to want to reach when you end up starting your business, selling your product or service. Two, you want to go to vendors of those kind of products and see who they know outside of the market you are targeting who do the same thing that might be a good company or individual for you to partner with or to get to mentor you, or who's already got a great success formula that you can model and just pay them a license. These vendors might also know salespeople that are unhappy working for their current company and that you could hire full-time or part-time to represent you. You want to find people who have stature to their name. It can be celebrities, it can be people who have a job that nobody even knows their name, but they have incredible importance relative to what you're doing. It can be people who either write articles for media, online, offline. It can be retired people who have great resumes, and you want to use them three ways. And when I say use, I mean ethically utilize. You want to see if they'll become advisors to you and let you use their name in your marketing and promotion so you have credibility. You want to see if they'll be advisors to you and give you insights and guidance you don't have. You want to see if they'll be advisors to you and give you access to their networks of relationships. The next thing you want to do is figure out what skill sets, what abilities you have and you don't have. Why? Because you have to play to your strengths and you have to figure out how to either avoid focusing or needing to depend on your non-strengths, not weaknesses, but non-strengths, and find other people who possess the strengths you don't and find ways to get them to help you. There's many ways to do that. And again, I'm just showing you just the outer elements of this. I can go so deep, and we will probably on other modules. But for example, you can, let's say you don't know a lot about technology. You can find somebody that does, and in exchange for them collaborating with you, give them a share of the revenue that results from your business, or give them an equity in your business, Or if they normally would charge $10,000 but you don't have $10,000, pay them $20,000 or $30,000, but pay them as a percentage of the sales that come. You want to get a mastermind alliance. And this is similar but different to advisors. Advisors are people who possess distinction you can use to your marketing advantage along with their expertise and network. Mastermind alliance is the process of going into your community or going into your country or going anywhere in the world and approaching various people who are far more successful in a very broad and diverse number of fields, industries, commercial, political, sports, and asking them to become part of your mastermind alliance. And getting them once a month or once a quarter to spend time together. And if it's local, you can do it in person. If they're all over your country, you can do it by Skype or by whatever. We use Google Hangout, but there's lots of different vehicles. Or if it's all over the world, you can do it by Skype or by conference call or any other device. But you want to tell them what you're doing. You want to tell them how you're doing it. You want to tell them the goals of what you've got for your business, and you want them to give you ideas. Ideas about how to do it better, how to do it faster, how to do it safer, how to do it with more effectiveness, because these people have been where you are trying to go. And you want to do all this before you even get started. Why? Because by taking advantage of all these drivers, of all these power principles, of all these catapult or springboards that will propel and hurdle your success probability higher, everything you do will perform better. Everything you do will be less unsuccessful, and that's your goal. Remember, maximum advantage in your hands, maximum disadvantage in other people's hands. So in terms of relationships, you also want to decide what are your strongest skills. Why do you want to know that? Because you might have within the skill set many different business advantages. Let me give you an example. Let's say your skill set is making and solidifying great relationships, whether you're a salesperson or a networker. Well, you have a lot of choices once you identify that skill. Choice one is to do something as your business that's based on making relationships or selling. Choice two is taking that skill set to another business that doesn't possess it and working out an arrangement where you do that for them, but you don't just get paid a salary or a commission. If you do it successfully enough, you earn ownership in the business. You earn equity. Another approach is to take what you do and find other people that do what you don't do and bring them together for a business. But you can't do any of this until you identify skills and non-skills. Let me continue on relationships because it's really amazing. If you start a business, or you can go to anybody's business, if you analyze three things: where they get their buyers, how many different, let me see if I can use the simple terminology, how many different buying cycles there are within their buyer base, and I'll explain this in a minute. And finally, concentrations of types of buyers that that company doesn't know about. You can help them specialize. Let me give you an example. Most businesses don't have a clue of the following. They don't know what kind of buyers are the most valuable. They don't know what sources of buyers are the most valuable. They don't track what kind of buyers buy the most often or buy the most things, what buyers are the most profitable. And why is this important? Because all buyers are not equal and do not deserve the same amount of attention or investment. But you can't know until you analyze. Most people don't analyze. And when you analyze the data, and the data means you look at the buyers that a company has. You go to a company and say, I'm going to find you hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars of opportunity you didn't even know exist. And as you're doing this, you're learning how to do it for all kinds of other people. You're learning where you can do it permanently for that company or lots of other companies like it around the country, around the world. But here's what you will find. You will find that certain types of ads or certain types of marketing or certain sources of marketing produce either a higher or a lower quality of buyer. This is very interesting. Certain kinds of marketing may actually produce somebody who's more profitable right away, but that buyer may not buy as many things for as long a time as somebody that came from another source. And if you don't know that, you might think, hey, the buyers from this magazine are great, when in fact they're only great because they make you profit one time, but they don't buy over and over again. Another source of buyer, maybe trade shows or your blog readers, might be less profitable initially, but buy more things more often for longer, but nobody knows that. Finally, you might have a category of buyer. Maybe for whatever reason, the product or company or product or service that a company, and I'm assuming you're working with another company because you were talking about starting a business, or you're looking at buying someone's business, so you want to analyze this before you buy. They may accidentally and unknowingly have a huge number of doctors as their buyers, even though they don't sell to doctors intentionally. Well, if that's the case, you know that that product or service really appeals to doctors. You can start targeting doctors. But this concept of relationship leverage, of maximizing relationships, is profound. It's enormous, and it goes even deeper. You can go to anyone and everyone you know and ask them who they know, and then you fill in the blank because it depends on what you're doing. If you're going to start a business from scratch, who they know who would be a good prospective buyer or client for you, or who they know who would be a good prospective investor for you, or who they know who would be a good introducer for you to other people that would be good buyers. And I can just take this concept, it's like a font, it's like a fountain that has cascading flows, and it's just infinite in what you can do with it when you understand it. And again, I can go deep and long. I could speak for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours just on relationship, but we're talking about levers. Strategy, marketing, relationship. The next is capital. And capital means many things. How you spend your money first. And why is that important? Because if you only have a finite amount of money, or you have no money, how you spend it makes a big difference. You spend it wrong, or you pay it out too fast, or you pay too much, or you pay to the wrong people and don't get the outcome. Two things happen. One, your business might fail before it starts, or the business you buy might fail. Second, even if it works, you might be accepting a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the result that you could be generating. So you have to look at where your capital is being spent, how it is being spent, and then how it could be better spent. And now I've got to get you a little bit of a headache, but it's exciting. Capital does not just mean money. It doesn't mean just the cash. Capital means human capital, talent, people you can either hire, partner with, make arrangements with to endorse you, make arrangements with to advise you, make arrangements with to be your mastermind alliance, If, for example, you have limited funds and you need advertising, if you go to an advertising media and they say, well, it's $10,000, and they want you to write a check and you only have $10,000 and you write a check and it doesn't work well, you're in trouble. But if you go to them and say, let me pay half now and half in 90 days, you've just preserved $5,000. If you go to them and say, I'll pay you $20,000, but I'll pay it at the rate of 30% of every sale that I get until I've paid that to you. Or if you go to them and say, I can't pay that, but if you'll run ads for my product or service when you have available unsold advertising, I'll give you 50 or 60% of the sale. That changes the dynamic. If there is a media, it can be pay-per-click, can be banners, can be magazines, radio, that you know works, but at the rate they charge, it won't work for you. It'll be too expensive for the result. You've got a lot of options with your capital. You can, number one, negotiate lower rates. Number two, do what's called a guaranteed sale. If a radio station, for example, said, we want $100 a commercial, and you had $10,000, and that would only buy you 100 commercials, you might say, I'll tell you what, I need to get $30,000 worth of sales, and I will pay the $10,000, but you need to guarantee me that if the $10,000 doesn't produce the $30,000 of sales, you'll keep running ads for me until it does. And you can negotiate. When you hire people, you can move part of their compensation to performance, so you're not paying as much initially, and you might pay twice as much ultimately, but you won't care because they're being paid in direct result to the profit they make you. We talked about intellectual property. You might have a skill set. Let's give you some examples. You might be better at selling a certain industry, a certain kind of product or service, and you can take that skill set and offer it to a lot of other people that want to use it and have them pay you a fee plus a percentage, whether you sell it yourself or whether you teach their people to do it. You might have a technology that you've created that can be repurposed to lots of other industries. You might be able to go to companies outside of the market you want to target for whatever business you either want to start or buy, and you might be able to arrange to use that other company's proven selling system or advertising or operational system or inventory control system. It just gets very exciting because you do not have to do anything on your own, and you do not have to spend money you don't have. You don't have to spend money unwisely. You don't have to spend money at all if you understand these options. And when I say capital, capital is money. Capital is opportunity cost. What does that mean? It means when you finally complete the modules in this program, you will realize that you have a number of options, opportunities, possibilities. For example, you can look within and say, here's my skill. I'm going to start part-time a service where I make my skill available to other either consumers or companies. And then you could say, I'm going to do that and either grow that, or I'm going to do that until I grow $100,000 so I can buy another business. Or you can buy a business that is struggling, but you analyze they have terrible marketing, they don't use their relationships, they don't try to get their buyers to buy easier, buy more things, buy more often, and you can acquire that kind of business not for writing a check right now, but for paying the owner a larger amount than the business is worth right now, but paying him or her out of the revenue you generate once you take over. You can buy into a business by adding more revenue streams or profit centers. As I said, if a company doesn't have a sales force and you can sell, you can go and say, I'll build a sales revenue stream and I want half ownership in all the profit that comes from it. You can go to a company that has an extraordinary brand but does not use the brand in as many ways as they could or should. And you can say, I want to create new applications or new ways to use your brand. License people, create products or services that take advantage of the brand, create products or services we can sell to your distribution network. I can go on and on, but the important point is you will have so many options that the most important decision you will make is opportunity cost. What that means is, here's where you are right now. When you realize what's possible, you can be, and this is as high as my short arms will reach, but I'm trying to reach to the ceiling. You can reach for the stars long term, but trying to catapult is hard. Taking easy, safe, high success probability steps are extraordinary. And once you understand these leverage points, these drivers, then you understand your options. Then I take you deeper into each category, which we'll be doing in future modules. Then you understand marketing really deeply. Then you understand strategic alliances really deeply. Then you understand how much power you really already possess. Then you understand how to take advantage of all these factors and forces. The most important decision you will be making is, what is the best use of my opportunity cost right now? And opportunity cost for your purposes means a number of things. If you want to start part-time, it means, what's the best area I can pursue part-time, either using my skill or using my capital or using relationships, that has the highest success probability for the time I can invest, because you may not want to quit your job right now, or you may be in school. Second opportunity cost is, if I'm going to start a business from scratch, what business could I start that has the biggest gaps, the biggest voids in the market, and where I can take the greatest advantage? Number three, if I'm going to buy an existing business, what business can I bring the greatest advantage to with the least amount of capital? Number three, if I'm going to try to do a deal with somebody who already has a brand and I want to add something to it, where's the highest probability of me being successful? And then number three, opportunity cost, where am I ultimately trying to get to? Because if you don't know where you're trying to go, you can't get there. And again, today I'm just trying to show you what's possible. But you can go a lot of places. You might say, I want to start with my skill part-time just to make money, to buy a business, and I want to buy a business in a market that's very weak, that I can bring marketing advantage, strategic advantage, relationship advantage, and then I'm going to buy more of them with the profits so I can build a little mini empire. You might say, I'm going to buy a business, I'm going to quickly multiply its profit and performance, and then I'm going to sell it for a big profit. You might say, I'm going to buy a business and turn it into a constant revenue generator so I can use that revenue to buy other businesses. You have lots of options, lots of possibilities. I'm not going to even get into them today. It's not what we're doing. We're just trying to show you that there are these drivers: strategy, marketing, relationships, capital, and then processes and procedures. But I've already covered that, and there are many, many more. But I want to move because I can spend all this time. I want to go back to the 3-way to grow business model. Remember, you figure out ways to attract more prospects, and I didn't say this, cost effectively, and convert or transform them from prospects to first-time buyers. You figure out how to make, when they buy, them spend more money ethically so it's more profitable. You figure out how to get them to come back more often, more times, buying more things. And if you don't have more things for them to buy, you find more things that you can offer in many different ways. You can partner, you can license, you can joint venture, you can white label. But then you do the Power Parthenon, all these pillars. There's actually another addition to the 3 ways to grow a business. I'm just trying to show you what's possible. Because you will find at the end of this, we're going to give you a customizable action planning guide that will let you take everything I will teach you and then play with it in different combinations to see which one makes the greatest sense for who you are and where you're at in your life and what you want and where you want your life to take you in business as a business owner or an entrepreneur or an independent income earner, or whether you want to do it for another company. And you'll have all these options that you can put on a template and then put on a planning guide, almost like a kaleidoscope, and you can see the different variations. But let me tell you the other 3 ways to grow a business, and these are advanced 3 ways, and they're very exciting. First thing is you want to do the first 3 ways that I told you about earlier. Second, you want to do the Power Parthenon, and it's all explained in your workbook. But once you get those things well established, now you've got 3 advanced ways to grow your business. Advanced way number 1 is every year you penetrate one new market. You take your product or your service or your knowledge or your skill or your intellectual property to one new market. And a market could be a different industry, market can be a different city, market can be a different country, market could be a different application. The second thing you do is you introduce one new product or service at least every year to your existing client. And you have 2 ways to do this, which is very interesting. You can introduce one new low-priced product or service, or no price, meaning something that's no charge. It's functionally free. Why would you do that? Because lower priced or no price products make it very easy for a marketplace to start a relationship with you. The sooner they start a relationship with you, the sooner they buy the first time. The sooner they buy the first time, the sooner they buy the second time, and the third and the fourth. Why you might want, on the other end, a very expensive product or service is that you will find, once you decide what you're going to do and where you're going to do it and how you're going to do it and with whom you're going to do it, that you have enormous options. But within any buyer base, there are segments. There are people who want more. They want more advanced things. They want more specific things. They want more individualized things. A good example is that I have partners all over the world. Many of them sell an introductory product of mine. Some of them give away a really cool short course. We call it a primer, a basic overview lesson. Then they take that person who got it for nothing and they sell them a $500 product. Then they take the $500 buyers and they sell Some of them, or many of them, a $4,000 home study program. Then they take the people that bought the home study program and they sell, some of them, a $10,000 live program. Then at the live program, a small number of those people come to me and they want me to counsel them privately for $200,000-$300,000 a year. And another group want to buy specific training on specific topics like building a sales organization or mastering online marketing or building a referral system. And I'm not trying to give you a headache. I'm trying to vastly excite you and motivate you and encourage you and assure you that if you want success as a business owner, an entrepreneur, it is within your power. I can't guarantee anything except to tell you that everything I'm sharing, everything I will share, is based on successful and impressive achievement by people either I have helped or my colleagues have helped. So what you do with it is up to you, but you are being given not at all theoretical and not unproven, but very, very, very powerful education, understanding, instruction, and mentorship that I can promise 99% of all the business owners in your country don't have. I can promise that people starting a business won't even understand, and I'm just getting started. In deeper modules will take you even deeper. The third advanced way to grow a business is every year to acquire either or both a similar business in the same field that you can buy not for writing a big check, but for paying the owner out of the profits. And why would they accept that? Because when you combine two businesses, you can eliminate a lot of the overhead of the one you buy. If you've got a billing department, if you've got a shipping department, if you've got a manufacturing department, if you've got a customer service department, if you've got a showroom, you don't need two. So if all of those areas are expenses right now for a company that's a good company, but a company that's struggling, if you bought that company and combined their buyers that you don't have with your buyers, and you eliminated 90% of the overhead that they have, you'd make a very unprofitable or low profit business very profitable. And you can do that over and over again. It's just one of many things you can do. Another thing you can buy, and I'm trying to not give you a headache but get you excited, you can buy a business that is what's called a feeder, or is fed by the business you are in. And this gets into relational capital, which is a very big subject that I want to take deep and broad in an entire module. I don't want to go deep today. But if you think about whatever business you want to start or whatever business you want to buy, you've got to think of what else do people buy before they buy that product or service? What do they buy at the same time they buy that product or service? What do they buy after they buy that product or service? And what do they buy instead of that product or service? It gives you a lot of possibilities. Once you identify those possibilities, you now have a number of other businesses you can acquire or start that either would feed your business because they will bring people to you who are ready to buy your product or service, or your product or service is the first thing they do when they're buying something else, so you can feed that business, and it all becomes synergistic. It all becomes connected, and everything feeds one another. And I'm giving you very cool thinking, and it may seem like too much, but please don't get overwhelmed. I'm giving you the vastness first, then we'll break it down into little parts. Then we'll evaluate at the end everything we've learned. Then we'll figure out how to take what we've learned and do like a Rubik's Cube or a kaleidoscope and give you the understanding so you can figure out exactly and precisely and joyously what to do first and where you want whatever you do first to take you to long term. So please, 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 just enjoy this process, because I'm not trying to confuse you, I'm trying to excite you. Now I'm going to teach you another group of drivers. These are skill sets you need to either possess or master or acquire through partnership or association with others to be a great entrepreneur. One, we've already talked about. You must become masterful at understanding and harnessing the power of marketing. It's too big of a subject to get any deeper than I introduced here. We'll do a whole module on it. The second is the ability to sell. And sell sounds like a manipulative concept. It really isn't. It really is nothing more than the passionate ability to advocate, to champion, to represent a concept, a solution to a problem, a way of achieving an opportunity or desired outcome with such compelling certainty and such trustworthiness that the prospective market you are selling to totally and absolutely embraces and accepts what you're saying, and they trust you enough to take action. So you have to become masterful at marketing. You have to understand selling. Ironically, within these two categories, marketing and selling, there is a bridge that you have to not even master, because it's a natural element within the human being, but most people in certain cultures don't really understand it, and it's trust building. There are 13 characteristics to trust building, and I will share with you all of them. Again, I'm not trying to tease you, but they're too important to just give you a little bit. I'll go through every one of them, and we will do them in a way that truly and clearly shows you how to possess the absolute most powerful level of trust with everyone you deal with. Now, why would you want that? Let me tell you why. A very good friend of mine who was a partner with Stephen R. Covey, who wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and who is still a partner with Stephen M. R. Covey, who together they wrote 2 books about trust building, did research. And what they found was that individuals and companies that enjoyed maximum trust with their marketplace, with their team, with their vendors, with their community, performed 300% higher, more profitably, more predictably than people who didn't. So, first of all, knowing how and living in what we call a maximum trust sort of an environment where your mind, your heart, your soul, your communications convey and establish maximum trust at all times is vital for maximum success. It also is very liberating because it's a wonderful way to connect with people. And in many cultures, it's great advantage giving because cultures tend to be very private and very withheld. And the more trust you can create with your prospective marketplace, buyers, with the people you're working with, either your team members, your employees, your partners, your skill providers, with your vendors, the faster they will work for you, the more they will do for you, the faster people will buy from you, the more loyal they'll be to you, the more they'll come back and repurchase, the better vendors will be with you, the more liberal they'll be in giving you flexible terms. Trust building is very essential. So, marketing, selling, trust building. Now you have to be great at lead generating and conversion. What does that mean? It means knowing how to go and target the best market sources which represent the highest probability of buyers for you. Knowing once you've identified that source, and why would you want to do that, by the way? Because why would you want to go to a bad source of low probability buyers if there's a source of high probability buyers? So you want to, first of all, learn how to target the best sources. And because they could be anywhere. It could be a list, it could be a magazine, it could be an organization, it could be a category online, it could be a community, online community, it could be of specialized buyers. Once you learn how to identify the source, then you've got to learn the best way to target them and to generate the prospective lead. What does that mean? It means the ability to get the right targeted audience to want to start a meaningful relationship with you. And a meaningful relationship is a general word because it'll mean different things to different people. For some people, it will mean just starting to receive their educational material because you have an intangible product or service that takes a long time to sell. For some people, a meaningful relationship will mean buying the first time or coming to your store the first time or coming to your booth at a trade show. For some people, it'll mean getting people to read your blog or listen to your podcast. For different people, it'll mean different things. But the first step is knowing where the best source is. The second step is knowing how to access, how to reach that source in a way where they will want to respond and start a meaningful relationship. The next step, depending on your definition of a meaningful relationship, and I'm sorry that I can't give you one definition because depending on the business you're in, the product or service, the market you are sourcing and targeting, it's a different meaning to different people. Then you've got to become masterful at converting, at moving that person from a meaningful starting relationship to a meaningful buying relationship. And each of these have different elements. None of them are as hard as they sound. All of them take understanding and explanation and education, and each of them really could deserve a full module. I'm not going to do deep on any of them today, but I promise that we're going to create either full modules or sub-modules on each one so that you're not confused, so you have enormously greater understanding and powerful control of all of these, so you have the ability to choose and select and incorporate what is appropriate for you. But just right now, you have to understand, you got to be a great marketer, and a great marketer doesn't mean art, it's science, so you can understand it. There's ways to construct it, engineer it. There are proven ways, and if you do it reasonably well, you will be very, very successful. You've got to become a masterful sales and trust building, and that's not manipulative, so don't be at all intimidated or concerned. You've got to be masterful at targeting the right source, at moving that source to want to take action to have a meaningful relationship. You've got to become masterful at turning the first level of meaningful relationship into meaningful purchase. And then you've got to become masterful at knowing how to sustain and continue that purchasing relationship so that the investment you have made in targeting them, in moving them to a starting relationship, pays dividends and profits over and over and over again to you for an enormous period of time. You do that by understanding the power and the driving principles of marketing, which I will share in a module, of trust building, which I will share in a module, of qualitative advisory consultative selling, which I will share in a module, of targeting source, of stimulating and motivating the right, most probable source to want to have a meaningful starting relationship, of moving them to an ongoing relationship. And then you've got to learn the art of what is called upselling and downselling. What does that mean? It means that all buyers are not the same, and all buyers' needs, requirements, and desires are not the same. So if you treat them all the same, you are doing them a disservice and you are doing yourself a disservice. Why? Because some people are going to want more quality, more quantity, more combinations. Some are going to want more but can't afford more, so they're going to want to start with less. You have to understand that there are different stratas up and down the buying process that you have to make available, because different people are at different points of progression, of desire, or of ability. And ability can mean the financial ability to pay or the consumption ability to consume. I may not be ready for a full course on change management, but I may be ready for a book and a video that gives me the foundation and the fundamentals. So different people are at different places, so you have to know how to sell more things to the people that are ready for a lot more, how to sell less things to the people that would love to buy your major primary offer but either can't afford it or don't have the time or yet the motivation to do it. And by the way, I think there's 4, there might be 5 as I list them, categories of markets that you have to understand. That's why you have to source the best market, not the worst market. One market is people who are unaware of what you've got, or of you as a company, or you as a service provider, and uninterested. The other would be people who become aware but are still uninterested. The other ones are people who become aware and are interested but aren't ready to buy. The others are people who are interested and ready to buy but need you to provide the bridge to purchase and repurchase. And I'm just trying to give you these wonderful power principles that you have the ability to command. The next thing you have to become masterful at is both repurposing and referrals. They're different. Referrals mean if you're in a business, you start a business, you buy a business, you buy into a business, and that business sells products or services that many people should be and would be comfortable telling other people in their lives or in their businesses or in their families or in their churches to buy from you. You have to be masterful at knowing how to get them to do that. Why? Because a referral-generated buyer buys fast, negotiates little, buys more things, buys more often, is more enjoyable to work with, is more profitable, and costs you nothing to acquire. A marketing-generated client will cost you money to acquire. A sales-generated client will cost you money for a commission or a salaried salesperson or to go to a trade show. A referral-generated client will cost you nothing, and the more you understand referral marketing, which is an entire module because there's 93 ways you can do it, and I will teach it to you, the more powerful you will be. Repurposing means what else can you do ethically with either the buyer after you've sold them everything you have to sell them, or the prospect who didn't buy from you. It can be complementary products or services. It can be additional products or services. It can be literally competitive products or services, but you have to know how to repurpose. Why? Because you might make more money on repurposing than you even make on selling your basic product or service. You might make money from people who don't buy from you, but you can introduce them to alternative products or services that fill the same need. These are the basic drivers. The key point to this module is about power. It's about giving yourself the power to understand the game of business that's being played in a way that's much more knowledgeable, much more certainty-based, much more powerful, much more success probable than your competitors. In the next module, we'll start taking you deeper, but you have to understand these elements first so that you can be mentally prepared to be maximum successful in whatever your first step in business is, and maximum strategic in wherever you want that first step to ultimately take you. I hope you've enjoyed this. It was not intended to confuse you. It was intended to liberate you and get you excited. So thank you, and I look forward to the next module we share together. This is a wonderful journey we're having, and we've only just begun. Trust me, by the time we're done, you will know what you should be doing, how you should be doing it, where you should be doing it, why you should be doing it, and where whatever you decide to do can take you long term, and you will be in control, and you will have the power, and you will make decisions that are highly success probable, not failure probable. Thank you.